Good evening, everybody. Hi, this is Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network, and welcome to another career conversation, which is part of our January month-long series, which is Reset Your Career in the New Year. So welcome. We're so glad to have you here tonight. For anyone who was viewing for the first time, please make sure you go to our website, bcwnetwork.com, and register to become a member of our network. And then also tonight, we are taking questions live from Twitter and also from our Facebook. And you can also tweet and share any, any comments that Janell or some of the ladies from our Young Professionals group that are on here, and share out some of their thoughts that they also share with you tonight. So I want to again welcome you to our second Hangout of the year for 2015. I want to go ahead and start and let you know who all we have on the Hangout tonight. I want to start with Jacqueline Twillie and Makeda Mathews, and also with Whitney Barkley. They are a group of the ladies, what I call our young professionals, our BCWN Millennials, that work closely with me in the network. We all just actually did a Google Hangout together a couple of weeks ago. It was the first Young Professional Roundtable that they did, talking about success and survival and stereotyping in the workplace for young professionals, and that was pretty good. So we wanted to bring them back again for our special guest that's here tonight, which is Janell Hazelwood. Janell Hazelwood is an associate managing editor for blackenterprise.com. She's also a blogger, and she has her own blog on blackenterprise.com, which is her two cents. Am I saying it right, Janell? Is it her 2 cents?
My 2 cents.
My 2 cents. Okay.
Yes.
My 2 cents.
It was close.
I was close. So Janell is coming back again with us this year. Last year she was with us for a Google Hangout, and we want to get her back on these more often in 2015. And she talked about boss advice last year, but we're going to talk specifically about boss advice for millennials in terms of, really, recharging your career or making boss moves in 2015 to take your career to another level, and just kind of talk about what all that means. And so they'll be sharing the dialogue with you guys tonight. So Janell also is a BCWN career mentor. So even after our Google Hangout is over, feel free to visit our site. We're going to make sure we put the link up on our through the Twitter and through our Facebook as well. So you can also continue and ask her questions that you may not be able to ask tonight. You can also email her your career questions, and she'll be more than happy to answer those for you. So without further ado, I want Janell to go ahead and introduce herself to our BCWN family.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I'm so happy to be here again. The first chat we had was awesome, and it was actually one of my first for Google Hangouts, which was amazing. And I love what BCW does. It's an awesome organization to promote networking and career advancement, development, executive leadership, etc. among young women. Multicultural as well, so I love that as well. So thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. What a quick introduction from our BCWN Young Professionals, our millennial team is what I call them. Whitney and Makeda and Jacqueline, say hello and introduce yourselves to people who may not know who you are.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. My name is Makeda Mathews. I am representing Columbus, Ohio, and the Black Career Women's Network Columbus Network leader. So I can't wait to get started with you guys out there in Columbus. But as far as me, I am a financial analyst. I currently am at L Brands, specifically at Bath and Body Works. Yeah, and that's about it. I can't wait to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone. My name is Whitney Barkley. I am the social media manager for the Black Career Women's Network here in Cincinnati, which is the headquarters. I am currently the marketing manager at a nonprofit called Education at Work, and I also blog with Millennial Career Advice as well at therightgirl.com. I'm looking forward to talking to everyone tonight. I've talked to everyone before, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right, my name is Jacqueline Twillie. I'm super excited to hear from Janell because I've been following her on Black Enterprise for a while now. About me personally, I am the author of Navigating the Career Jungle, which is a guide for young professionals. I am a proud auntie, and I'm very sad that the Saints are not in the playoffs, so we have no chance of winning the Super Bowl this year.
Well, that's okay. Ohio State won the national championship, and I'm not Ohio State. You know, I didn't go there, but still, woohoo, because I'm in Cincinnati. All right. Well, Janell, go ahead and start us off by sharing your passion for millennials. I know that we all follow you on Twitter. You share a lot of career quips, is what you call them when you tweet them out. And you share a lot of advice specifically for millennials when it comes to their careers. And so I wanted you to share with the viewers, you know, specifically, you know, why you have a passion for really sharing career tips and advice to specifically to millennials.
Well, I just love the fact that I can be a resource to anyone. I feel like that's my purpose in life, to be a resource. And also, I had some amazing mentors coming up as well. But in certain areas, sometimes I kind of walked alone in terms of career leadership and advice. So from the things that I learned from doing that, along with what I learned growing up and just seeing people and embodying what they do based on example, I just wanted to be a on-purpose resource for millennials in particular, especially for areas where I didn't have the knowledge at the time.
Okay, I always talk about that where, where was something like this when I was, in my 20s.
Yes.
Because I was kind of like, the blind leading the blind. I just kind of had to, find my way. And I had to look at people who were already doing these things I wanted to do and kind of emulate that to try to, to find out where I would fit. So I understand, what that means of not being able to have that. But yet when you find someone that that can be a great mentor and a resource for you, you have to kind of run with that. So let's start it off. I know that viewers, feel free to jump in and ask any questions. You can tweet your questions out through our Twitter, which is @BCW Network, or you can also tweet them out directly to Janell at JP Hazelwood as well. And we'll be more than happy to have Janell answer your questions, or you can type them into our Q&A box if you are watching and have access to the question and answer box in our Google Hangout. So let's just kind of open up the dialogue, and with our young professionals that we have on the Google Hangout right now, Janell and Whitney and Jacqueline, any questions, burning questions you may have as a millennial from your perspective that you want to share with Janell or ask her so she can give you some of that boss advice for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to share some advice because, like I said, I'm very passionate about young professionals being successful and tapping into their purpose. I'm really big on monetizing your purpose, and I also have a younger sister who is in her 20s as well. And we were having a great conversation about that because some things seem intuitive to some people. It's kind of like maybe I would go to my brother, for instance, who's an engineer. He just seems like such a genius at computers, right? So if I call him, I say, oh my God, it's not working. I'm pressing this, I'm doing that. He's like, it only does what you tell it to do. Because that is his intuition. That is what he does. It's something that he has an aptitude with in terms of computers. So sometimes when I think about purpose and just going for what you love and learning how to monetize it, especially at a young age when you can afford to make mistakes, I always think it's intuitive until my sister's like, no, everyone doesn't know how to tap into that. They don't know how to reach into their purpose, especially when you're young. So it's awesome to be able to be a resource to young professionals in particular, and also be able to let them know some things that are do's and don'ts. So that's something that I'm very, very passionate about. So yeah, please send in your questions and let me know what you need to know.
Well, let's talk about some of those do's and don'ts. What do you mean by do's and don'ts for millennials in terms of their careers? What does that look like?
Well, I was really struck by a column that our chairman and the founder of Black Enterprise wrote recently about millennials and just his advice for millennials in terms of communication. He talks about the importance of social media, obviously, because we're in a technological age, and social media has really had a place in both cultural and business interactions. But he also talked about how that old-fashioned, you know, having real-life relationships and building those and actually speaking with people, following up, and those communication skills that may be lacking today among millennials. That's something that really struck me. So that's one don't there. Do maximize your social media profiles and do socialize via social media. Use it for career advancement. Use it to meet people that maybe you never would have access to traditionally. But don't forget the importance, as Mr. Graves Sr. has said, about that old-fashioned communication and really getting to know people, really building relationships, because people do business with people they know, and people do great business with people they like to work with, and they actually know who they're dealing with. And with social media, it's hard to do that beyond the initial introduction or what you are able to present to the world or what some people are able to mold into an image and that sort of thing. So that would be one do and one don't. Another do would be to really tap into what you're good at. I always like to say there's a person that I'm a very big fan of named Lucinda Cross. She's the founder of the Activate Conference, and she talks a lot about vision boards. Now, let me tell you a little story about vision boards. My sister, I'm mentioning her again because she's a younger millennial. I'm getting a little older. I just had a birthday on the 1st. So I feel like I'm kind of in my millennial realm. Thank you, ladies. But she just talked about how, you know, oftentimes you're thinking about, what do I do with myself this year? Like, what are some things that I can do to really advance my life? And the vision boards is something that she's always done since childhood. Like, literally, she would cut out pictures and images and words and, like, paste them onto poster boards. And I just thought it was crazy. Like, I thought, a vision board, like, what is that going to do? You know, it just looks like a scrapbook that you've, like, placed all around on her. Like, they literally would be on her walls. Even to this day, she has framed vision boards. And I just never saw the value of them until certain things started to manifest, right? So then I see, fast forward maybe 15 years, and I see Lucinda Cross, who was, you know, she's been featured by Black Enterprise, featured by Essence, and talking about how she was able to turn her life around while serving time in prison for a mistake she made as a young teen, as a teen, and doing vision boards to keep her motivated and to keep her focused, and how a lot of the manifestations of the vision boards came to reality. And the same has happened for my sister. So I would like to promote that among young professionals as well, even beyond a vision board. Let's say you don't want to do that. There are apps you can use to kind of document your goals and really set them out on paper. Like, it's great to have thoughts and to have dreams that you want to do, but you should always put it on paper. Write it down. Write a list of things that you're good at. Write some things that maybe you had weaknesses about last year in terms of your leadership skills, the skills you offer to the market, transferable skills, which are great, and these are skills that can apply to almost any job that make you indispensable. And write those down. Really tap into the best parts of you, and then get into some weaknesses, that maybe some things that you're not great at, or some deal breakers. There are some things that it's like there's no need for you to even try to get out of the box of that because it's just not you. Start to write those down and really tap into some careers or passions, that ways that you can monetize those skills. So that would be a do, another do for your career advancement. A don't would be putting limits on yourself. It's 2015. Like, who would have thought, for real, 2015, I don't even want to show my age, but I feel like 2015 is like, dang, so imagine 2050. You know what I mean? Like, 2015 is like you're watching Jetsons back in the 80s or the 70s, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, people are going to be in flying cars. I know I'm showing my age. People are going to be flying in cars and that sort of thing. But who would have thought you would have been saying 2015? Who would have thought? So this year should be a year of no impossibilities. Like, it literally should be whatever I want to do, especially while I'm young, I can do it. It's very possible. And it shouldn't be a mindset of tunnel vision. It should be a mindset of activating what you are passionate about, what you're good at, and being realistic about your dreams and goals and making them reality. And I'm not saying just, you know, walk the earth being aloof or having unrealistic expectations of life or just thinking, you know, in a cloud. But sometimes in that cloud, you come into your purpose. Like some people will tell you, that's crazy, or what makes you think you can do that? That's the biggest thing I always heard as a 9-year-old saying, I want to live in New York. I want to be a New Yorker. 9 years old, I want to be a New Yorker. And they're like, what makes you think you can do that? I say, I don't know. It's just something that I'm really passionate about. I dream about it. Like it's in my mind. I want to be there. You got to tap back into that young person, that little kid who just has no recollection of naysayers or even reality. You know, if you think about a 5-year-old, you know, a 7-year-old, and you tell them something, or they draw something, or they tell you different concepts, they don't have a sense of, no, that's not real, or no, you can't be that. They don't have that sense. You know what I mean? So that's a don't. This year, don't put impossibilities in your vocabulary. It should be what is feasible and what is the closest version of your dream that you can get to, that you can work toward. And it may not be perfect, but pursue those things. I have to reiterate that as I get further out of the millennial range. Pursue, because there's so much in my 20s that I thought I couldn't do that literally, if I would have started back then, I literally would have been a beast by now. So it's just, you know, no impossibility. So that first get your vision board together, whether it's on your phone, an app, a journal, a list, photos, pasting them, not pasting them, put it on your Instagram. Maybe you need to make it private and not share with people. But definitely do that, and don't think in impossibilities, especially as a young professional. I hope I didn't talk too long.
No, you were. That was great.
That's really great. I wanted to run over and grab my vision boards from the side of my room. I have my board from last year, and I have 2 boards this year, and I've been hosting them for the past couple of years for my friends, like, just come over, don't bring anything.
Oh,
I have
beautiful.
supplies. And it's been really awesome because when I get the text message, hey, the thing that I put on my vision board is already coming to fruition, it's just a great feeling to encourage my friends to do that, but also to see things on my board as I'm going throughout the year, and I just glance over at it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's on my vision board. It just happened. So I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
We did this last year.
Yes, love it.
We did an event
in my goodness.
Last year where we did that was actually a career conversation that we did for February of last year, and we did a whole vision board party. And we had, so we had, women came, and we supplied all of the magazines and everything for them to just kind of just have at it and create these boards. And then Whitney, her talented self, created a video. And some of the women shared their vision boards in the video. And I think we actually have it up for those who may want to see it. And it's in our career conversations page where you can see it, New You, where you can look at some of the vision boards that we created last year. So I know I look back on mine from last year and some of the things that I put, and I was like, oh, wow, I had on there wanting to be featured in, Black Enterprise on my board. And it may not have been the magazine, but it was online, and that was just as good. I was happy with that.
Yeah.
A lot of those things have come to fruition, and I keep that right in front of me. So I do think the vision board's a great way to keep your what you want to make happen in front of you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that as well, because I do know, first, I'm a Capricorn. I keep mentioning
I am too.
Yes, Capricorn season, y'all. I'm so sorry. I have to shout out my Capricorns. Boss move, shout outs to the Capricorns, honey. Right. But I have to say this too, because as a young professional, as a millennial, and ladies, let me know about this, Jacqueline and Miss Mathews and Whitney. Let me know about this, how you feel about this. I know when I was a millennial, young millennial, I just wanted everything to be perfect. I had a total plan, and if it didn't go according to exactly to the plan, I was devastated. I was angry. I felt like it was everyone else's fault. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I'm not scared to share this. I interned at Essence, so I worked there and it was just a dream of mine. And it was like God really blessed me to get an internship with ASME, which is the American Society of Magazine Editors, special internship where they placed me at Essence Magazine. Now, I thought I would go in there as a teen in college doing cover stories. Like, literally, I walked up in there and I was like, you know, I could do this. I could do this cover story. So, you know, sometimes they would let us have lots of great insight. It was an awesome place to work, where we could give ideas and, you know, serve as editorial assistants. Like, I did end up serving as an editorial assistant on a book project and working with the editors and just gleaning from them. But I just was so arrogant thinking that I could do a cover story. Now, mind you, at the place in the career that I am now, knowing that I'm a manager and the steps that it took, if a person straight out of college tried to get a cover story with Black Enterprise, I literally would kind of be giving them the side eye. It's like people build up their careers, their contacts, they build up their skills, you know, they have networked, they have dealt with the politics, they've done the work in order to earn such prestige. Now, it's great to have the confidence of that. That's what boss moves mean. You don't have to be a boss. You don't have to be, you know, if you're working at McDonald's, you know, doing the fries or cleaning up, or you're a janitor, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the mentality that you are great at what you do. You're the best. You are the author of what you do, and God is the publisher, right? So it's okay for me to aspire to do the cover or to do the cover story for Essence Magazine. It's not okay for me to feel entitled to that at 19 years old. When I haven't paid any dues, I haven't networked, I haven't gained the contacts. At that time, I can be honest, I didn't even have the writing skills to have a cover story. You know what I mean? So with the vision, you do have to have a sense as a young person, realistic scaling of your career. We always talk about scaling of a business, where a business won't flop. Perfect example of scaling, let's say a business, a small business is featured by Oprah, for instance, and you know anything she touches turns gold. Well, if you're not ready to serve millions of people after you've appeared on Oprah, your business can go out of business because it's too much demand and you can't adhere to it. So it's the same thing with your career. When you're young and you haven't scaled your career, your experiences, you haven't really strategized your steps, you can shortchange yourself early. And see, arrogance could have got the best of me at the time. I could have gotten upset. I could have had an attitude. You know, I could have just not done the work. So I had to learn and humble myself and say, hey, how can I be a resource at the age I am and learn to glean? So that's another thing I would like to share with everyone. Learn to scale your boss moves, scale your career. Be realistic about the stage you're in and enjoy it. Enjoy that you're young and just starting out and you may not have all the skills in the world. Sometimes you can enjoy a period of ignorance, and I don't mean ignorance in a negative way. I just mean young exuberance, you know, having a zeal for life, but having an unknowing, curious mind where you can learn and glean from people who have experience. So I just wanted to share that story because, like I said, I'm still that way. I'm still that 19-year-old at heart, but now I've learned the maturity of scaling your career and really positioning yourself, networking, connecting with people in an organic way, and not having the arrogance of thinking that you should just be at the top, even though you know you should. Not having the arrogance of thinking that people are entitled to give you that. Yeah.
No, I agree. I think you hit it right on the nail when you said that you have to build up your trust. I think I've fallen into those situations where I was maybe a little bit arrogant and I wanted so much work and I wanted this project, I wanted that project, and I felt like I could do it, but at the end of the day, it was just too much, and I had to give some stuff back to my boss, and that looked even worse than me coming in and just taking it, piece by piece and step by step. So I think one of the things is just to go in confident, not arrogant. If your boss or your supervisor gives you something and says, hey, this is going to take you a few hours, go do it, turn it in 30 minutes, and you know, they're shocked and awed, and you know, they're gonna build up their trust by that. So just keep the confidence and don't be arrogant at all. I agree with you.
Yeah, you got to really scale your career. And people you work with who are already there, they have to trust you. You know, they have to feel like they have someone that they can invest in, and that they can work with, because it is a team when you're working for a company, which goes back to the whole personification of being an employee at heart, whether you're the boss or not, because it's always a team mentality. I think we were talking about this offline, in terms of always feeling like an employee, and not in a sense of, hey, like if you're an entrepreneur, there's the employee mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to always having humility of being a worker, someone who's willing to do things, someone who is willing to empathize with people who actually have to execute your vision, and knowing what it takes to do that in order to motivate them and to be able to direct people appropriately. So I think that's awesome. And Jacqueline, I know you talked about something new that you have coming up as well, right? A new project that you have coming up.
Well, I am relaunching my blog next month. That's coming up. And more things to come with the career coaching that I do. But I really like that you mentioned how, you know, you have to build a relationship with people. Because I feel that a lot of my peers, they don't know how to interact one-on-one with people. We'll be in the same room at work, in an office, and setting, having a meeting, and someone will text me. It's an open dialogue conversation, and they get offended when you call them out and say, hey, you know, we're having an open conversation. You don't have to text me or email me this. This is the purpose of a meeting. So I think it's a skill that people have to relearn, and unfortunately, communication face-to-face is a lost art, and a lot of my peers have to work on that greatly. So thanks for bringing that up, because that's a big, big one.
Yeah, I think that I love social media, and I actually love email. I actually prefer email, and I think that's just kind of me being a digital person. But oftentimes I find that you do have to speak with people. You do have to have great communication skills. You do have to be able to relate organically to people. Sometimes if you're too stuck behind a computer or a phone, you often become socially awkward, and in a bad way, because sometimes socially awkward can be quirky and cute, but in business, you don't want to be awkward, and you also don't want to not know how to communicate with people, especially people who are in top-level management, who are entrepreneurs and major leaders, because it turns people off. It's off-putting. So sometimes I think that people get so caught up in text messaging and social and email me, you know, it's like they don't even know how to have a real conversation anymore. And like I said, true leaders, especially those who sustain, profit and wealth and success in their careers and business, they're people. They have relationships. You know, they don't have to tweet someone. They can call a major influencer and actually get something real done, which is interesting because the word influencer is thrown around a lot, and many of us are influencers in our own way, but dynamic influencers are able to actually make things happen, not necessarily just drive a conversation about something or just stop at the social. You know what I mean? They're able to move change or able to motivate people to do something. That's a real influencer. So sometimes when we talk about social media, there are influencers who's like, okay, this person, they, have a lot of followers and they, post every day and that sort of thing, which is great. No shade to them. But a combination of that and actually having real life, results, that's an influencer. So for them, social media is a tool just to push what they're doing in real life further. Whether their purpose is to be, a cosmetologist, a makeup artist, a cosmetologist, Lord forgive me, a makeup artist, a religious leader, a business leader, even if you're like a Kim Kardashian or a beauty queen, if you're really building a brand and a career, you're using the platform to only be a you know, a springboard for what you want to do in real life to create action or change. So when we talk about influencers and having communication skills, I think that's something that millennials can definitely tap into, using social media, texting, and that sort of thing as a springboard, but also being able to close the deal. And in order to close the deal, you have to actually be in the room and be able to speak and communicate and connect with people, which I think all of us become guilty at that. Even my mom. My mom will be at a dinner with us, and she'll be texting her husband. And I'll be like, Mom, can you put the phone down? You know, so I don't think it's just a millennial thing, to be honest. Like, I've met people of all ages who you might have corresponded with them on social media or via email, and then you meet them and it's a little awkward. And, you know, I'm kind of a social kind of, you know, jazzy personality anyway, so I like to break the ice by just being personable and maybe saying a joke or something like that. But some people are not going to work that hard, you know. So I think it is a millennial issue, considering that millennials consume the most social media. They're the biggest consumers of mobile, especially minority millennials and young professionals. They're the top consumers of mobile and telecommunications, which includes, you know, of course, you're tweeting from your phone, you're doing Instagram and that sort of thing. But it also affects older professionals as well, and mid-level professionals, in terms of, you know, just email me or just do this and just do that. And even myself, I've become a little guilty of that sometimes, where I have to check myself, where people would say, hey, can we grab a drink or lunch or something afterward? And I'll say, hey, let's do it. You know, sometimes you have to go beyond the digital interaction to close the deal.
I have to agree with that, from an old school perspective, like myself, and, you know, showing my age. So, you know, it is what it is. But I'm a pick up the phone type of person. You know, I would prefer to, you know, get your phone number and pick up the phone and follow up with you, you know, verbally, if I'm not able to meet with you face to face. But that's really my preferred way of communicating. And I think that if millennials can do more of being able to think like that, you know, follow up with your, you know, use your social media, you know, use your email and be effective like that, but learn how to pick up the phone and also communicate with that person, because it also increases the connection. And it helps to establish a relationship in a different way. It just kind of really solidifies, you know, this, okay, I've talked to this person, you know, we've had this communication on social media, whatever form we've used, and then to pick up the telephone and actually hear their voice, really kind of, to me, it just kind of solidifies, yeah, this is a real, actual contact. Not that they didn't believe it, but it just kind of makes it more real, and kind of establishes the connection when you do that. So I've met quite a few people, and Janell's one of them, through social media, and that's how we were able to connect. But then being able to talk to her face to face and live really helped to solidify, you know, really to cultivate the relationship that we're continuously to build right now.
And you know, Janell, to your point about when you meet a person face to face after you've interacted with him online, I think the first thing, because I've had those awkward interactions, people don't make eye contact. So I definitely try to lock eye contact with them as soon as I recognize their face, and like keep the eye contact, because I think that's one of the things that makes it awkward. They just don't know what to look at you or do this or that. And see, I'm a hugger, so I kind of like bring people in anyway. I'm like you, I'm a connector, so I'm going to go the extra mile, but most people don't.
Right, and I love that. I'm actually not a hugger, but if someone is, I'll accommodate it. But a great handshake, that is one thing I'm very big on, especially with men. When you have a weak handshake, oh gosh, I'm giving you the side eye, honey, because it's like, hold on now, wait a minute. And you know, some people don't want to be so firm, and I know this stuff that we're going through, so for some people it's like, okay, we've heard that before, but you'd be surprised. Like, there are quite a few people who don't do these nuances. They're looking down, or they have their sunglasses on, or they're extra standoffish or icy. You know, so with the hug situation, that would be perfect, because it's like, let your guard down. I'm not going to bite you. You know, we're trying to get business done, or we're trying to get a goal accomplished, whether it's personal or professional. So think in that manner. So, and a firm handshake. I mean, you don't have to crack my fingers doing it, but I would love a firm handshake that shows you here and you're serious, and, you know, you're available. You know what I mean? So I think that's awesome. I think that's definitely those nuances of communication that we need, and body language too, which is a major component of communication. Verbal is not even the majority of what we get. It's body language. So just think about that email that you received that you thought the person was being rude or was shading you or was being nasty, when really if you could be a fly on the wall, they didn't mean it the way that you perceived it from being typed. So this is where the breakdowns happen in terms of social media and email and text, which our social media manager and I were talking about, Sarita Wright. She was saying the same thing. It's like you could text someone a joke or something like that, and they take it the wrong way, the way they read it. She says at that point it's time to put the phone to your ear and call the person, because you just don't need the whole awkwardness of having a whole blowout over a text, you know. But a lot of people don't do that. They rather text or, you know, hit me on social or email me. And it's like after 10 emails, not even 10, but after a few emails, maybe it's time to have a conversation, you know. But there has to be a balance, like Sherry was saying. There has to be a balance, because it's great to have phone interaction, but it's also great to tap into some time-saving tools and tech resources. And also some people, they overdo phone and talking, you know. It can cut down on productivity. And for young people, it's kind of like, did this deserve a 30-minute conversation? Like, could we have just emailed this? So it's a balance. It can be a hard balance, because like I said, sometimes we like to saturate ourselves in texting and social and that sort of thing. So I think it is all about balance and just knowing when you need to make that discerning call to say, hey, let me just call this person, or no, this doesn't need a 30-minute conversation. Let's just get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and even finding out initially what is their preferred form of contact.
Yes.
Say, you know, for someone who says, Sherry, how do you prefer to pick up the phone and call me? That would be me. You know, where Janelle, you're like, okay, email me. If you understand what that is, that also helps to establish a relationship too. Probably accelerated, because you're using the method that you know that you're going to be able to get the most effective and fastest response from them for what. So sometimes it's asking them specifically, what is your preferred method of communication, and then that way you're setting the standard up from there as well.
That's true, and it just shows a genuine mutual respect for who you're dealing with as well, and that helps to endear you to them too, because it looks like you're willing to compromise, and it's not just all about you. That's another thing in terms of boss moves. I think the biggest boss moves, especially for millennials, is being a person of service. Because I found that, and I won't say be foolish with this, because you do have to look out for yourself, but I also mean, how can you be of service to someone else? What can you do for them? It's not always about what can they do for you, because in the end, it will circle back around. This is what I found in my career. People will say, well, how did you get that opportunity? Or how did you meet this person? Or how did you meet that person? And a lot of it was, I'm just being a resource. I saw that they needed something, and I provided it for them. What, did they pay you for it? No, not initially. Did they ask you for it? No, but they said they needed something, and I took initiative and did it. And that's how you build relationships with people. And like I said, I'm not saying be foolish about giving away your talents for free. What I'm saying is, have the mindset of service. How can I serve people? And it will always come back to you fruitfully, especially in your career. And I'm a faith-based person as well, so that's just something I believe spiritually and just how I was raised. And it's just always benefited me, being a service sort of person versus coming in the room thinking, me. What can you do for me? And I think a lot of millennials do that. They come in the room and say, you owe me something, or what can you do for me, or what is it for me? And like I said, that can be kind of a controversial way of thinking about things, but that's just the way I feel. Some people feel that you should be paid, or you should be compensated for every little thing that you do in life, right? Whatever your talents are, and that's cool, but I just don't agree with that. I think that if you're a person of service, even when it's business and even when it's career, you'll always be benefited. And by that, I mean it is strategic, obviously. So it's not just giving away products and services for free. It's not just, you know, your what you offer is so great that you would just do it for free for anyone. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is bartering, partnering, God bless you, bartering, partnering, and just having a mindset of service will really help your career, especially as a young professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I always say for myself and for others that it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yes. Yes.
So I am so not opposed to doing something for free for you as long as I know that you're just not a taker.
Right.
Adam Grant has this really good book, Give and Take, which I highly recommend. But he also talks about the same thing. And I'm like you. If I give and I serve, I believe it comes back tenfold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that, you know, it's great that, you know, I think to have that attitude, it helps to broaden your circle so much larger than what you can imagine when you do that, because they're going to speak about, you know, their experience with you with someone else, and that goes a long way in terms of how they see you as a professional and the reputation that you're building, the brand that you're building for yourself, you know, in terms of long term, and really learning how to just open up, you know, not just opportunities for other people in terms of you know, their business or whatever it could be, but just really learning to get to know them and really being genuinely interested in what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How you guys can work together to expand on both sides, without it making it like it's some kind of hidden agenda, because people can see right through that.
Yes, and people are drawn to people who are givers, and also people who are blessed. You're blessed when you're a giver, right? Mm-hmm. And I've learned this a lot. Just growing up, my grandmother taught me that, as well as my mom. My grandmother was always a giver, and she's always been blessed. It's not even strange because I'm a faith Christian person, but outside looking in, you would say, wow, this woman is doggone near 90, and literally she never has to worry about a thing. She's had challenges, and it's like she gets through them. Why? Because she's a giver. Anybody that comes around her knows this. Anyone that comes in her home is a guest of hers, a family member, and she literally would give you the clothes off her back. Now, she might have some nice Prada and Janell in the closet, but she literally would give you her clothes off her back. So this is something I learned at Black Enterprise as well, being of service, and just the legacy of Earl Graves Sr. and Jr., and just the Graves family, as well as Alfred Edmond Jr., who's our Chief Content Officer, Derek Dingle, who's also our Chief Content Officer, Elisa Gums, and Simone London, who actually hired me as a young professional on the copy desk and gave me a chance. And also I learned from my mentor, Ani Akpe, who is, she's the founder of Innovator Magazine, and she's the person that taught me a lot about bartering and partnerships and being of service. Because, again, to be honest, it's an affordable way, too, to get services as well as expand your brand, if you think about it. Yeah, when you walk alone and always think me, 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 it's definitely going to be a harder ladder to climb. But when you partner with people, when you offer your services or your skills or your hard work acumen, whatever your passion is, when you offer that to another party who can help push even your agenda, that's even better. And you build a network that way, which goes back and closes the circle on having a network and good communication, people working with people they like and can engage with. Mm-hmm. But I kind of want to shift the conversation into boss moves and just how exactly you tap into your passion and your purpose in your career and how to monetize that. Can we talk about that a bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I often get questions on how do you do that. Yeah, people say, well, how do you do that? How did you know what your passion was? And true, as a young person, your passions may be all over the place, or they may be very focused. Maybe God gave you something that literally you already knew what you're going to do. Look, I knew people like that. This girl knew she was going to be a doctor, and now she's a doctor. This person knew, LeBron knew he was going to be a basketball star. He been playing ball since he was a little boy. I wasn't like that. I was a little girl. I just always knew I loved helping people. I loved writing. But I didn't know what that meant. Like, I didn't know how to make that into a career, especially growing up in a place where it was like, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a judge, a fireman, a nurse, very basic career options. And there's nothing wrong with those options. However, it didn't show you the different areas and things that you could do just a wide array of careers and, you know, things that people have been able to do and create titles and jobs, or even jobs that are out there that no one knows even exist. A social media manager, for instance, that did not exist 7 to 10 years ago. Okay, who even knew what a social media manager was? A chief content officer, who knew that? Even the job of being, you know, someone who manages human resources, a people executive officer, who knew that that was something? You know, a motivational speaker, who knew that 30 years ago you could get paid to be a motivational speaker? So my thing about this is, how do you find your passion, right? So the first step is, like I talked about, write down what you're good at. What makes you stay up at night? And I'm talking about good stuff. I'm not talking about no nightmares, bad stuff. Get rid of it.
Terrorized around here.
Yeah, what makes you stay up at night? You know, what would you love doing even if you didn't get paid to do it? And what are you good at? Even if you can't figure that out, what are you good at? And then the second step is, I'm very big on meditation. Hey, if you're not religious, I will call it meditation. But if you are spiritual, I would recommend prayer, because you'll get a lot of things shown to you when you pray and meditate every day, right? And beyond that, read things that will, you know, enlighten and spark up that prayer. You know, you need to feed that prayer, right? So if it's the Bible, read the Bible. I would recommend the Bible, actually. But just like how Jacqueline talked about the book that she mentioned, which, Jacqueline, could you mention that book again?
It's Give and Take by Adam Grant.
Yeah, books like that. Read those books. Eat, Pray, Love. If you want to travel, read travel books. If you can't go to sleep without thinking about making a wig the next day, read hair books and talk to stylists and go to salons, be an assistant, read up, go on social media and follow the leaders of who do what you do or something similar to what you do. And it could be something that you think is dumb. Nothing is dumb, to be honest. If you want to be in the circus, be in the circus. I could tell you a great story about a guy who left. He had a regular office job, and it just wasn't his passion, but he loved being an entertainer, and he knew how to juggle. He knew how to do all kinds of tricks. Now this man, he quit his good-paying job in an office to be a juggler. We've written about him on blackenterprise.com. If you need me to tweet out the information, I will. But it's an awesome story about how he left his job basically to become a juggler. And he has toured the world. Literally, this is his career that pays his bills. So it's not a joke. It's not like how you see a spoof of a juggler or people that's in the circus. You know, like, this is a real monetizable career that is his passion. And not only does he do juggling, he does various amazing things in terms of entertainment, because that was his passion. You know, that's what he grew up doing. And maybe he may evolve to become, you know, the owner of a new sort of circus. Cirque du Soleil, that wasn't out, you know, before. We all knew the typical circus, you know what I mean? So maybe he comes out with that. Maybe he works in Las Vegas and, you know, owns an entertainment company. Maybe he has a firm for creatives. See what I mean? Like, it's so much you can do with something that someone probably told you, a juggler. Like, why would you want to be a juggler? Like, you have a good job. You know what I mean? Think along those lines, not in people's limitations. And then the third thing is this. Once you have that down, so once you've written down what you're great at or what you go to sleep thinking about, and you can't sleep until you actually do it, or you want to do it so bad that you can't sleep, you read your Bible or read up on things that will enrich that prayer, enrich that dream, that nugget of faith that will enrich it. So books, social media, podcasts, TV shows that will enrich and give you ideas. Black Enterprise, BCWN Network, join organizations. After you've done that, you know, don't overwhelm yourself. Maybe do, you know, 3 goals a day or a week or a month even, whatever your pace is, and say, I'm going to do these 3 things that's going to feed that prayer or feed that meditation or feed the hunger in me to do that. Then the fourth thing is to really strategize as to how you can get into that. What does it take? What skills does it take? Do you need to go to school? Do you need to save up money? Do you need to move from where you are? Do you need to take a leap of faith? Do you need to make some sacrifices? Do you need to make some changes mentally and spiritually within yourself on a personal level to even pursue those things? who can you talk to? What mentors do you have within your circle? And even if you don't have mentors within your circle, like Sherry said, I've met many people on social media. Some people are lifelong. Literally, I've met people from back in the day before blogs, celebrity blogs were big. We were all doing journals on Jenga. It was Jenga.com. I don't even know if it's
remember that. I remember that.
Jenga.com, yeah. And we met each other, talked about how we wanted to be in New York, told our stories. Some of mine were, I hope that blog is deactivated, because if I ever become a millionaire, somebody's going to dig up those blogs, because, I mean, it was raw. It was like, you know, our experiences, and we connected in that way, right? So who knew that I would be able to come to New York and work professionally, work for the New York Times, work for Essence, work for Scripps Howard? But we talked about it. We documented it. Some of us had the vision boards. We prayed about it, that sort of thing. So get around people who can help push what you're trying to do. Whether it's a meetup, you know, they have meetup.com. You can start there, or start your own meetup. Start a YouTube channel. Make your own lane. If your lane does not exist, if there aren't people around you who will support what you're doing, in your prayer, in your meditation, in your reading, that's feeding the hunger, you're going to come up one day and you're going to say, you know what, forget all of this. I can do this, and I'll walk alone. And you'll see you won't be alone for long. There are going to be some people who are drawn to that, who are going to help you. And God will put people in your life, order your steps, put people in your lane that's going to help you do what keeps you up at night, right? Also, in doing that, set up a budget. Financial fitness is key, right? Dreams do take money. I mean, we do live in a tangible, capitalistic world. You need money, so find ways to make the money to do what you need to do. We recently, I've interviewed corporate executives who were able to mesh their career passion with their passions, their personal passions with their career. And they were very successful and very wealthy at doing that. So there are ways to do that. If you want to be a writer, write a book, get an agent, make it go viral, put it up for sale on your own, get your tax ID. If you want to be a speaker, start speaking, start charging for it, get your taxes together, get your budget together. You know what I mean? So take the time to create a budget for your dream as well. I talked about scaling your career, right? These are all business terms, but it applies to your career, return on investment. If you make a move, well, what is it going to take for you to move? You know, how much money will it take? What's the cost of living? What are the tax brackets? Get into that. And it sounds like a lot, but once you map it out, once you get that mentor, once you start praying, it's going to come to you. I could tell you guys so many stories of things that I've wanted to do, and literally, it's like somebody dropped into my lap to help me do it because of that strategy, right? Where I'll meet someone, even on a surface level, right? I make a nice salary. You know, I live in New York, and I could make more and that sort of thing or whatever. But I said, dang, I would love to have a new wig so that I could do appearances and look good. You know, walk with me on this, because I'm a hair person too. I'm very into hair and beauty, and I just love it. That's one of my passions as well. And it's like, literally, I'm not even going to tell her, because she may not want me to tell her name or who gave it to me, but literally, 3 bundles of hair were given to me. I did not ask for, given to me, that I literally can make a wig or do whatever I want to do with it. Another thing happened where I had a dinner for my birthday, and I wanted it to be a service situation. So they had dinner with me, and we would talk boss moves, you know, for my birthday. And I was like so stressed out, like, are people going to actually RSVP? Are they going to show up? And I prayed about it. I said, you know what, my birthday is going to be of service this year, because I want to talk boss moves, and I really want to connect certain people in the room. You know, I want people to be able to have a 2015 that's prosperous. Do you know it went to capacity? And not only were the people there that I really wanted to be there, but they genuinely connected with each other to the point where people are keeping in contact now. We're planning trips. We're doing all sorts of things. So I prayed about it. Literally, the event planner, Brenda's wine glass, like I said, dropped in my lap. I was like, who's going to do this? Who's going to plan this? Will I have to pay them? What will I have to do? You know, I can't do this right now. You know, all of this stuff, all of those negative attitudes and aspects, it was like fantasy. It's like, you want to do this. This is the desire of your heart. This is your passion. This was given to you. Run and do it. You know what I mean? And it was a major success, to the point where I literally was in tears. Like, it was a major success. So beautiful. So that's what I want to say. Get with that strategy. Start writing down what you're good at, what keeps you up at night in terms of your passions. Start mapping out a plan, both financially and spiritually. Read up on things that will feed that hunger, feed what you want to do, and really connect with people who will help you. And the sky's the limit for you. So that is a strategy that I really wanted to share today. If we got nothing, if no one got anything from this conversation, I really want people to have.
I got tons.
Oh, great. Great. I'm so glad.
I will say this, though. Janell makes a huge point to because I remember specifically when I was just coming out of my millennial stage. And I had been working in staffing for a couple of years, and I said, you know what, I really want to be a corporate recruiter. And I didn't have any experience, and I thought, okay, really, how am I going to kind of break into this industry? So I went and got me a bunch of books about corporate recruiting. I started signing up for these different websites about recruiting, following different professionals who were recruiters, like ERE.net, some of those different websites. And I started, just constantly reading about what it means to be a corporate recruiter, learning the jargon, what is a contingency fee mean? What does, one of the things we used to do, which is I forgot, we used to call it SLA, which is a service level agreement. What is the service level agreement? And being able to understand all those things about the business before I even got a job. And then the first job I applied for as a corporate recruiter, I got that job out the gate because I went in and talked about understanding the nature of what it means to be a full cycle recruiter versus a staffing or someone who just does contingency, and understanding the different terms and terminology and how to do that, and then relating my own skills to how I could be a recruiter. And so that's when you talked about that, I thought, I did that. There's certain things that you probably unconsciously have done, millennials. You probably unconsciously have done these things in your own career without realizing that it really is a strategic move, but it's something you're instinctively you're doing to take yourself to the next level. So don't doubt those instincts when you have them to do that. And I think that's big. Sometimes we doubt our instincts and don't go with our first gut when we say we're drawn to do something. Follow that gut instinct and really just open up that door to learning and exploring about that instinct even more. And you'll be surprised what you find out about yourself.
That is awesome. That is yes. That is awesome, and that's awesome to hear your experience as well, because it's good too to connect with other women, because oftentimes we can relate on a lot of things, a lot of experiences, and some of us are very solid. We don't know people's experience that we could learn from, so we often will assume things. Like, people will see people and assume, oh, she just has it all together, or it just all came to her easily. And then when you figure out you can relate to this person, like, oh, she went through that too, or she was able to do this, or this is the resource that she used, maybe I can try that, or maybe I can do this or that. You know what I mean? So it's great to have like a synergy of relating in terms of career goals and just going for what you wanted, which was, and in this day and age, again, we talked about social media, it's too easy to succeed. I'm sorry. For me, there is no excuse.
It's all right here.
It's literally in the palm of your hand. It's literally in the palm of your hand. You have technology. You have so many other markets. This is a great segue to what I wanted to talk about as well. I know we're going to be wrapping up soon, right? So I don't want to talk you guys to death. But just looking at other possibilities too, because oftentimes we get so pigeonholed into what we see success being. And I think that you should always be open-minded to, you may have thought it was that, but it's this. You know what I mean? It's something different. Also, being so tied into what's popular. A lot of people who are innovators were people who went either against what's popular, or they added a special thing to what's already popular. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they didn't say, okay, New York, I got to be in New York because that's just the place where everybody is. True, it is a business hub, and true, it is a technological hub and that sort of thing. But what about other markets who have a major void, like that you could offer something to, right? So you may see a certain lifestyle and you'll say, oh, that's so hot, you know, I have to be in New York, I have to be in LA, I have to be here. And no shade to those places, they are awesome and true. Don't get it twisted. These are the top markets in the world, you know, LA, New York, well, in the United States and among the world, LA, New York, and those places. So, you know, you might want to get your chops there, but always be open to other things. You know, I often watch like biographical specials and things like Unsung and that sort of thing. And I guess I love Unsung, girl. I love it. And a lot of times I like to glean from other people's lives. I just think in another life I was a biography writer or like a researcher or archaeologist, which I feel like I maybe could still be today, because I just love tapping into why people are who they are or where they are or what's behind the passion in them or what they were able to do. And I think I was watching one on Minnie Riperton, who's she was a great singer back in the day.
I saw that.
Love her. Yeah, Minnie Riperton. If you don't know, I know I'm kind of aging myself, and some millennials might be like, Minnie Riperton, who in the world is that? But she has some awesome, amazing music. Yes, she has, you know, inspired artists like Beyonce and all sorts of people, and she hits those high notes. Mariah Carey hits those high Mariah Carey-esque notes. So she was before Mariah Carey, right? Well, her husband talked about how she didn't really blow up early in her career, right? So she had been out since the 60s and 70s, and she really didn't see a lot of fame until the 80s, right? So imagine that, you starting out 60s and 70s, you know, you're young, and you don't see the height of your fame until the 80s, which is like at least 20 years later. So imagine now you think you're going to be this, and this, when it doesn't happen for you for another 20 years, which, again, I hate to keep talking about God, but it happens sometimes. You may not reach your peak until 40 or 35 or your first million. You know, I want to reach my first million next year. But who knows? You know, you may not reach it. So anywho, he talked about how they moved to the South from where they were, which was a major market, to the South. They literally lived on a farm and just would write stories, and you know, their kids would play in a farm and stuff like that. Now, who would think of that? Like, literally, a lot of people who live in New York or live in cities, you know, like Cincinnati and the city of wherever you're from, if you ask them to move to the country, they'd be like, oh no.
Yeah,
she moved there
with me.
yeah, you know, but it's just a point of the fact that some people, your success journey may include going outside the box. You may not be one of those people who is among, you know, the top markets or where the hottest place is or the most popping place. You may be right where you need to be in order to create an empire where your niche is needed versus another, you know, market where it's already saturated. You're going to have so much competition. So sometimes you do need to break out of the box and say to yourself, what sacrifice do I want to make? Or it may not even be a sacrifice. That may be the place you need to be. You may have thought, oh, I need to be in LA living this life. I need to be in New York living this life. I need to be in Cincinnati living this life. Atlanta living this life. When really you may be needed in some other part of Ohio, another part of Georgia, another part of Texas, another part of the Midwest. So millennials, I would like you all to challenge yourselves as well. It's great to be in those top markets, and actually it's great, you know, it's great on your resume when you're able to do certain things with certain brands, but also maybe you can take that to another market and really create a lane for yourself where you're the big person on the top of the hill and not someone who's like you know, a little fish in a big pond. You know what I mean? So that's something I want to reiterate as well. Don't just think that success has one face or one stereotype or one prototype. You can kind of create your own success, and actually, you might make your area pop and bring your, you know, your lounge or you get with your business partners and start doing certain things that make the area somewhere where young people will want to be and live and thrive in business and career. So don't just get pigeonholed into I have to be in such and such market, or I have to be this sort of person or this sort of profile to be a version of success.
That's true, because the lessons that you're going to need to learn to move forward anyway might be right where you are at the present time in order to move forward. You know, because I remember specifically that, you know, some of the things that, you know, I've experienced in throughout my years of my career, you know, I don't think that I would have been able to really feel confident enough to start a network like this if I didn't have the experiences, the highs, lows, all of those things that I experienced through, my career in HR, and even prior to that, just where I'm just doing service work, I'm just a worker bee. And if it wasn't for all of those experiences, would I be able to have the knowledge and speak about really learning how to develop and really go about getting what you want from your career at the stage in the game? No, I would not be able to have done that without all the trials and the successes and the highs and lows that I had prior to, really looking at how do I want other women to be able to not have to, have a place to come and get the resources and the support that they need that I didn't have.
Yes.
So you gotta think about sometimes those hard knocks really is what's preparing you for really the big stuff to come. And like T.D. Jakes said at the Enterprise Entrepreneur Conference last year, where he said small things prepare you for the big things.
Yep.
And so you have to think about that where you are, especially for millennials. These things that you're going through now are preparing you for the larger thing that you see, envision for yourself down the road. So, really look at the learning experiences you have, because they are, and I said, and Whitney and I have these conversations all the time, don't we, Whitney? We talk about how what you're going through now is going to prepare you for something bigger down the road. And so you have to really look at learning from like Yana say, do the work now, do the work.
That's the truth.
It's the truth. Do the work now, because that's really what's going to prepare you and set you up for what you envision for yourself down the road.
That's definitely true.
Things that we went over, which that's okay, because we do this every time anyway.
Oh, that's good.
Go ahead and just get some takeaways and from each of you for tonight's career conversation. We'll start with Whitney, because you've been awful quiet tonight, lady.
Yes, Whitney. She's been tweeting away.
Pretty much. I think my biggest takeaway tonight is really just not to be fearful. Just kind of, look at the new year as an opportunity to kind of do the things that you want to do, in addition to being humble to new experiences. Never feel like, you're too good to do something. Kind of make sure that you maintain a humbleness and be open to doing new experiences, in addition to actually saying that you can do it.
And one thing I want to add to Whitney, Whitney is a very savvy writer, and she's very proactive in what she wants for herself. And she wrote out this 2-year plan and emailed it to me, and I read it.
I love that. And I love that you guys are accountability partners. Like, I love that you all can share that.
And I read this email, and I'm thinking she's already doing half of this stuff now anyway, so she's trying to accomplish. And so before, it was like not even a month later, she's like, oh, I pretty much got everything done that was on the 2-year plan. I'm like...
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I'm like, okay, so she definitely is, I love that she's like that, and to think that far ahead. At her age, I was just thinking about, okay, what's in front of me now and how can I survive?
No, I was the same way. I was rebellious, honey. I was like a plan. I don't even want to have a budget. I just want to spend the money. Why do I have to say, it just so much structure. It just kind of was like, I just want to rebel.
I don't know. I feel uncomfortable if I don't have a plan. I love to plan stuff ahead, because it gives me focus and it gives me like direction every day.
Yeah. That's really awesome, Whitney.
Well, Makeda, what's your takeaways?
One thing that really stuck out to me was when you said success has many different faces. And as you all know, I'm in finance. So I'm a very procedural type of thinker. Step 2 comes after step 1. Step 3 comes after step 2. Point blank periods. That's it. But one of the things that I always try to think about, and I guess sometimes I struggle with, is, is it more important to have that plan, or is it more important to take experiences as they come? So I think that, with you saying success has many faces, maybe I can take that, experience. Maybe I can go get my MBA somewhere else other than where I want to go, because it could offer me something different, but I can get the same result. So that's one thing that I'm definitely going to take away, just to not be so one-dimensional in my thinking.
So that would be like maybe get your MBA at Howard, DC.
Oh, see now, we playing now, because I went to Hampton U, the real HBU. No, just playing. I have love for my Bisons. I have love for you guys. I do. We're both the HUs. We are. You know, I had to poke.
That's all right. I know Makeda loves DC. That's why I said that.
No, yeah, I love it.
Oh, okay. Come on down further to Virginia. There's some awesome programs at Hampton University, I assure you.
Okay, Jacqueline, how about you? What's your takeaways from tonight?
So one of the things that really stuck out to me was service. And, you know, I celebrated my birthday a few days after yours, January 4th.
Oh.
And when I was planning for my birthday, I said I wanted to do something service, like a whole month long of just giving back and serving and connecting people. And I talked myself out of it because I was fearful. So it's still January. It's still my birthday month. So I'm just going to take charge starting tomorrow. I'm turning the rest of this month, the rest of my birthday celebration into service. You have inspired me.
Oh, thank you. That's so awesome. Yeah, please keep me posted on your progress with that, because I think it's just amazing. And it takes the pressure off of ourselves. I'm very hard on myself. So I feel like if I put focus on other people, I won't be as hard on myself. But finding a balance with that. You know, it helps you to find a balance within yourself, because we're Capricorns. We're very hard on ourselves. We want everything to be perfect. We want to be the leader. We want to be like the best in the room, like to a fault almost. We are like literally we have to be at the top of the hill. Like we have, and sometimes you're not going to be at the top of the hill. You might be in the middle, and maybe you have to pause. You know, if that wasn't part of our plan, though, we're like, dang, what could I have done? You know, so that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
All right, good. So, any takeaways for you, Janell, talking to our young professionals tonight?
Well, I just love the different personalities, and also the fact that you all are doing great things, especially with BCW Network. And also, I could use a little bit of Miss Mathews' thought process, because sometimes I'm just all over the place. You know, so it's great to have a balance and to be able to glean from different personalities. Because like I said, we can't be an extreme of one thing. It just doesn't work. You have to have a little bit of balance. So that's the takeaway for me, the balance and just the diversity of perspectives, and also just having a balance of communication. You know what I mean, for millennials, and just being people. This is the year of people. Events are driving revenue for many brands right now. So get into it, get social, start meeting people, and of course find that balance. You know, you may not be able to have a 30-minute conversation with someone on the phone, but if it takes a 10-minute conversation and maybe a couple of emails, you know, maybe you could compromise. You know what I mean? So those are some of the takeaways, just the diversity of experience, balance, and just the 4 steps to the strategy of, you know, really building up on monetizing your purpose, because that's something that I'm very passionate about. And I would love to see more people do what they love. Some of us have to sacrifice, obviously. And you may not be doing something you love, but, and by love, I mean there are some people who do certain jobs that just are difficult. But again, it's still a passion. It's still something that kept them up at night. You think a detective or anybody else wants to find, you know, tragedies or talk to people about their family members being deceased. But a lot of people who are in healthcare and, you know, police work and that sort of thing, that is a calling. That's something that literally they cannot sleep at night without being able to help someone in those ways. So balance, monetizing your purpose, and really doing what you love, even if it's a hard job. Some of us aren't going to have easy, glamorous passions. And really going for those in 2015, those are some major takeaways that I hope everyone will be inspired by this year.
Well, you know, I want to thank everybody for being on the Hangout tonight. This has been awesome. I really appreciate Jackie, the young professionals, and you, Janell, for taking time out of your schedules to hang out with us tonight and talk about boss advice for millennials. A couple of things I want to share before we all get off the hangout tonight is that next week is going to be week 3 of our Reset Your Career in the New Year series, and next week we're going to have a real career talk live call with Marsha Haygood, which is a career coach and co-author of Laws of I can't even say it, Little Black Book of Success, Laws of Leadership for Black Women. And she's going to be on our call next week. And then our Google Hangout next week will be with Amanda Miller Littlejohn.
Yes.
No, she's going to, our personal branding strategist, my favorite personal branding strategist at that. She's going to be talking about branding yourself and managing that in terms of branding yourself like it's your business, in your current job, in your current role. So you definitely want to tune in for that in terms of getting those branding strategies for someone who's working that 9 to 5. So that's going to be awesome for what's going to be going on next week for our career series. So, and then, of course, the following week is going to be Tawana Bagwad, who is with Evoke Life Coaching, and they're in the DMV area, and she's a life designer, and they're going to be talking about ways to really, manage those emotions in the workplace, and talking about how to work through some of those workplace challenges that can be very hard for you. And then the last and final Google Hangout for the month is going to wrap up our series. It's going to be a Google Hangout where we're going to have a guest of panelists here, and hopefully, Janelle, you'll be able to jump into. We're going to be talking about the realities in the workplace that every Black woman should know.
Awesome.
Which
yes.
is great.
Marsha,
yeah, Marsha Haywood's going to be there. Tanisha Sykes also is going to be on the Hangout, along with some of our local women here from Cincinnati who will also be on the Hangout, and we're going to be talking about what that means. What does microaggressions mean in the workplace, and how are you recognized when you're experiencing that? And then also, too, what does shifting mean? A lot of Black women do that in the workplace and don't even recognize they're doing it. So we're going to be talking about those things as well. So you don't want to miss that Hangout. It definitely is going to be able to probably answer some questions that you didn't really realize about things you do in the workplace that that can really help you. So. That's what's going to be going on for the rest of the series for the month. So I'm so glad everybody is tuned in. This Google Hangout actually is being recorded and will be available for replay probably in another 30 minutes, and it'll be on our website until our next Google Hangout that happens next week. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Ladies, stay on for just a few minutes longer after we stop recording so I can talk to you guys, but I want to leave you with one of my quotes. Oh, one last thing before we go. You can follow Janelle on Twitter at JP Hazelwood. And then you can also, again, she is a BCWN career mentor, so you can go onto our website page, and you can also just ask Janelle a question if you weren't able to get a question answered tonight, and she definitely more than will email you back with an answer for you. So.
Yes, and I have one last thing. I'm sorry. I do have to promote this because it's my passion. It's not only the people who pay my bills, but blackenterprise.com. We have awesome resources for career, technology, small business, and money. Specifically career as well, especially for women. And we also have a womenofpower.com, which is an offshoot and an awesome portal for just women. It is a product of our Women of Power Summit, which is coming up in February. I'm so excited. Registration is available on blackenterprise.com, as well as our Entrepreneur Summit, which we did mention, and we also have a golf and tennis challenge. And Amanda Littlejohn as well, Amanda Miller Littlejohn, is a BE contributor. She's part of our BE Contributor Network. So we have some amazing content, resources for you. And be sure to follow Black Enterprise as well, at Black Enterprise, on most of your major social media channels. So I do have to add that because it's definitely an awesome resource, and BCW Network was featured, and we'll be working with them a lot more as well.
And just so you know that we do have information about the Women's Power Summit for Black Enterprise. We do have the event posted on our events page. We've had it up since the beginning, since they started promoting it. So you can find out more information on our website. Just go to BCWN network.com/events, and you'll see the information about the Power Summit and a link and everything to find out more information about the Women's Power Summit. So yeah, absolutely. And I think we're going to be posting about, if I don't already have it, I may already have it on there, but we also have about the Entrepreneur Conference coming up in May as well. All right. Okay, good. Well, without we'll go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. And I want to let everybody know, thank you so much, viewers. Thank you for hanging in there. I know we went over 9 o'clock, and I thank you guys for hanging in there with us. But please tweet this out to your networks in terms of our career conversations. We're doing them every Wednesday night this month. And I want to leave you with my my regular saying that I say every time we close out: know your worth, discover your strength, and work in your purpose. Until next Tuesday, we'll see you then, you guys. Good night. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.